I visited a fine dining restaurant recently, and frankly speaking, there were a couple of hiccups in pairing wine with food there. My name is Garry, and I'm a WSET3 qualified sommelier, and today I'll break down the entire 11-course meal wine pairings and we'll discover together what of them were perfect and what were a complete disaster. The first course was an amuse-bouche made from different kinds of seaweed added with some shrimp puree. For me, the start of the meal was totally clear. Seafood, starting light with seaweed, some shrimp. I expected the course to be paired with some easy drinking, low alcohol white wine just to kick off the evening and start the whole meal really easy. But the sommelier decided to pair the course with some Australian Chardonnay from Coonawarra. Quite a courageous decision, right? I wouldn't say that it was a complete disaster. This Chardonnay has seen no oak, fortunately, because if it had, it would be too big, too full-bodied for just a seaweed tartlet. But anyway, it's an Australian Chardonnay. It's rather full-bodied, 12.5% alcohol. Again, I would have started with something even lighter, like 11% probably, but at the same time, it was not too bad. I understood that a sommelier had a more straightforward palate than I, and I prepared myself for an intense evening full of flavors and strong pairings. The second course was also an amuse-bouche which continued the same seafood theme. It was an edible shell made of protein and maltodextrin with a pearl of mussels on top. Frankly speaking, I was preparing myself for something even more bulky than the Australian Chardonnay. But no, the pairing was a pleasant surprise to my palate. A nice, simple Marsanne-Rousanne blend from the Rhone Valley was a perfect pairing for this course. It was not too heavy, had a nice round body, not too big, and with characteristic flower and blossom aromas of the indigenous Rhone varieties. The wine wasn't too expensive. Actually, all of the wines from this pairing are not expensive because it is the most basic pairing, not the top line. The price point for this wine in retail is about $20 per bottle, but anyway, it's a nice wine and a nice pairing. The third course was the last amuse-bouche of the evening. A buckwheat flour donut with smoked sour cream and black caviar decorated with edible gold. I love the dish very much despite its simplicity. In fact, it was just a donut with sour cream, but it was a well-made donut with sour cream. That is why I liked it so much. And for the wine pairing, I really had some doubts here. The restaurant sommelier paired it with Pouilly-Fumé, 100% Sauvignon Blanc from the Loire Valley, France. I absolutely love wines from the Loire Valley. I know that probably the top Burgundy and Bordeaux deliver more on the palate, but I cannot help myself. I just love wines from the Loire Valley. And they normally have a very good price ratio value also. But to pair smoked sour cream and rather fatty donut with subtle greenish Sauvignon Blanc, I'm not sure. If he had changed the first and the third pairings, if he had paired donut with Australian Chardonnay and seaweed tartlet with the Loire Valley Sauvignon Blanc, I wouldn't have any questions. But he decided to do it the other way, which to me seemed a bit strange. Probably he thought that Pouilly-Fumé, fumé in French means smoked, would pair well with smoked sour cream. I'm not sure, but he could, why not? Of course not. Fumé, the winemakers from the Loire Valley call the grapes smoked fumé because of the grape bloom which covers the grapes and it has a color similar to smoke, this grape bloom. But yeah, Sauvignon Blanc with donuts, it was quite unconventional to me. By the way, if you love wine as much as I do, consider subscribing to my free newsletter or checking out my online course on wine appreciation. I think it might be very interesting for all wine lovers. All the links are in the description down below. And the fourth pairing was the biggest hiccup of the evening to me. The course was a rather ambiguous raspberry tartar in a caramelized sphere. Quite a brave move, don't you think so? But the pairing, what was it? Any suggestions? Pinot Noir from the Loire Valley. I don't know, I love wines from the Loire Valley, but a subtle fruity Pinot with a tartar, basically raw beef, that was very unconventional. And if for the first dish it was a bulky big wine for a subtle dish, this time it was vice versa. Tender fruity wine for a full weight appetizer, which severely needed some more full-bodied wine. Again, I don't know, maybe the sommelier decided that raspberry in the dish should pair well with the raspberry hints in Pinot Noir. But yeah, I would personally do it with some light Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc for tartar. Yeah, Cabernet Franc from the Loire Valley. It's a nice pairing if you adore Loire Valley as much as I do. But Pinot Noir for me was not the best move, and frankly, I barely managed to finish the dish with such a faulty pairing. The fifth course was tender ravioli with scallop in creamy sauce. I swear to God, I almost expected him to bring me some sherry wine for me to destroy completely the whole dinner, but he decided to have mercy on me this time. It was once again Reschke Winery, Australian wine, but from Riesling this time. It was not bad actually. This Riesling to me had some nutty tertiary hints, probably not very common for Australian Rieslings, which normally are more on petrol gas station side. But on the whole, the pairing was successful. Next, we went for an apple gratin with foie gras on top with some sea buckthorn caviar as a decoration. The dish itself was rather grassy yet acidic, and in this case, wine was paired impeccably to my taste. It was Gavi di Gavi, 100% Cortese grape from Piemonte, Italy. I'm not a huge fan of Gavi actually, but if there is a great pairing for this wine, it's a dish like this one. Acidic yet grassy, containing fruits which add freshness, but with foie gras to add some structure to the course. And Gavi di Gavi for me was almost the excellent pairing for this one. And if you loved the video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. Thank you. Coming up next was some fried polenta with crab meat and pecorino cheese sauce. Very intense dish full of umami flavors, very salty, especially to me because I try to cut down on salt and spices to take care of the taste bumps for them to be ready to taste wine. But yeah, it was a big dish. Not that there were a lot of food on the plate, but it was definitely full of flavors. And guess what was the pairing? California Zinfandel. Even though I would not name it Zinfandel, it was Zin, clearly Zin, and not a very high quality one on top of everything. Zinfandel most wanted. It is very popular, almost like barefoot or yellowtail wine, probably a bit less popular than these two. But definitely it is not the level of wine we want to see in a fine dining place. It is not completely cheap, the price is also around the same $20 per bottle, but the quality of this wine is way less compared to the Australian Chardonnay, for instance. The grapes for this wine are harvested, no one knows where the grapes are harvested. Some people even say that they import Primitivo grapes from Italy and then it becomes Zinfandel in the US. Yeah, it is the same grape, just different names. But yeah, to me, it is just a low quality wine. A lot of residual sugar, which is not appropriate for this course, I believe. I don't even want to discuss the pairing itself because I think it is not the wine that should be served in fine dining. You can say that I'm too strict, but I just want to be totally transparent with you. I paid for the meal myself, I have no obligations, I just share what I feel about the meal and about the wine pairings. The next course was actually better and better paired with wine. To me, it was the best pairing probably of all of the course because it was a duck breast with fermented applesauce with DOCG Chianti. That is the classics. Chianti pairs extremely well with fatty dishes like this one. The only thing I would improve if I had to is to elevate a little bit the quality of this Chianti wine because this one actually was not very expensive and it was not probably the best Chianti ever created in Italy. But I think I'm being too strict now. Probably for more pricey pairings they have something more sophisticated, but this Chianti was also okay, it was a good pairing. The ninth course decreased the intensity of the flavors a bit. It was some allusion to the traditional English fish and chips, some potato chips with halibut cooked with extremely low temperature, only 45 degrees Celsius, which even for dish is quite unusual. The pairing was Muscadet, Sèvres et Maine, 100% Muscadet grapes. I don't know what to say here. Muscadet is a pairing for oysters, fresh just from the ocean. It is not a pairing for fish and chips. The only excuse could be that this Muscadet was made sur lis, which means some maturation on the lees, which contributed some structure and some complexity to the wine to cope with these grassy potato chips. but definitely it was not a classic one and quite a risky one, I'd say, and also not the one I'd love to recommend to my customers. And then for the desserts, the first one was fermented white mushroom with chocolate topping. Unfortunately, I forgot to shoot a video of this one. The wine pairing was some sweet German Riesling, which was totally fine, no complaints. And the last course was mango mousse with coconut foam. The chef said it was aimed to clean our taste buds, refresh them, and prepare for some digestive. The pairing was Hungarian Tokaji wine. May I finish the review right now? Like light coconut foam almost without any notable sugar, and bam, huge luscious Tokaji wine, overwhelming the palate with some apricot and jammy notes. I think there was a huge misunderstanding between the chef and the sommelier this evening. Wine and food didn't complement each other but tried to compete. Sometimes wine was way heavier than the course, sometimes it was vice versa, but I'm definitely not a fan of such an approach. I think that wine should just complement the food, be a part of the meal, helping to uncover all the nuances of flavors in food. But that is only my wine pairing philosophy. I don't insist on anything in particular. I just say that I would probably do it a bit differently. See you in the next video. Bye.